Welcome to Fireside Gaming. I'm Billum, and today we're doing a quick and dirty review of Westerado Double Barreled. If you've never heard of this game, I wouldn't be too surprised. It's an indie game from 2015 that was made by Ostrich Banditos, which doesn't appear to have made anything since this. And it was published by Adult Swim Games. Yeah, Adult Swim, that late night program that took over Cartoon Network when you were a kid, and probably still does. I don't know, I haven't had cable in years. That Adult Swim used to publish developers' indie games and make a handful of their own until very recently. You're probably even familiar with some of these titles, like Robot Unicorn Attack, Burrito Bison, and Duck Game. And if you aren't, you should be. But before I distract you with looking up and playing those games, let's stay on target with Westerado. This is a game that's all about tracking down the man that set your farm on fire and murdered your family. And no, that isn't a spoiler, the game states this right in its official description, and it takes place right at the start of the game. And here is the greatest thing about Westerado. You are free to track down that no-good varmint any way you please. Sure, the game will advise you to seek the help of the local sheriff, but you don't have to do that. There is no hand-holding in this game. Instead, it drops you in its open world and lets you do whatever you please. No restrictions. And I personally love this about Westerado. It even takes into account for extreme player decisions. For example, instead of tracking down the murderer, maybe you just want to go on a grief-stricken shooting spree and start taking out anyone and everyone you see. And the game expects this, and it has special events for it. Now, the easiest way to track down the murderer is by obtaining clues from the locals. These hints are offered for taking care of residents' problems, and you'll keep track of his appearance in your journal. The more clues you get, the clearer picture you have of your prey, and you might even recognize him wandering around town before you get them all. And the best thing about this is that the murderer's appearance is randomized every playthrough, so there's no way to know what he looks like before you get started. You have to engage with the game first, though you can also accuse anyone you meet of being him at any point in time, which can lead to some funny interactions. And it's not just the murderer that changes in playthroughs. The more times players complete a run of Westerado, the more characters they unlock to play as. This can lead to some major changes, like the main character's sister surviving the events at the start of the game and seeking revenge for her family instead, or taking on the role of a long-lost family member from an Indian tribe. These extra options easily add replayability to the game, but there's still other differences to note. The murderer's background will also change across the multiple playthroughs, mixing up the story and changing his motivations for offing your family. Also, the way Westerado handles guns is great. Players start with that classic 6-shooter, and before they ever fire, they have to unholster their weapon and then cock it. These two separate actions before firing allow the player to put pressure on other gunslingers while they search for information about their family's killer. It's a fun mechanic, and it's great to see everybody nearby also pull out their guns if the player does, like they're getting ready for a real spaghetti western shootout. There are also multiple other guns to acquire during your journey. You can get twin revolvers that offer more ammo, a shotgun with wide range, and a rifle that can pierce through multiple enemies. Though you'll have to be careful using that last one in populated areas. You wouldn't want to hit any innocent bystanders by mistake. It does take a second to get used to the purely horizontal gunplay, as you can only aim left or right. But combined with moving up and down, dodging shots, and having to manually reload each bullet you fire,
there's nothing like the feeling of slamming a long silver bullet into a well-greased chamber.
It makes for incredibly frantic and engaging encounters without needing 4 or 8 directional aiming. Of course, you'll need money to buy guns, and there's plenty of ways to obtain it in Westerado. You can take on bounties, hunting down bandits, and turning them into the local authorities, dead or alive. Or maybe take on a job protecting a stagecoach transferring funds between the scattered towns of this desert. Heck, you could even wrangle some buffalo for the local militia, or join that militia and receive military pay. And players can spend that money on more than just guns. There's also new outfits, with the ability to change their colors, as well as hats. Hats actually act as health in Westerado, with our vigilante being able to keep 3 on him at a time. When you run out of hats, the next damage equals death. Fortunately, hats can be bought at the haberdasher, and there's even multiple styles. You can also shoot hats off of enemies' heads, causing them to flee and allowing our hero to add them to their collection. There's just so much to do, and after putting nearly 20 hours into Westerado over the past decade, I'm still missing over 20 achievements tied to different side quest endings and other events in the game. That's impressive coming from a $15 game. While Ostrich Banditos haven't done much since Westerado, they do still pop in to patch the game from time to time, with the most recent update being roughly a year ago for some minor fixes. They were also able to retain the rights to their game when Warner Bros. Planned to delist all Adult Swim games it published, so that's a plus. Granted, I've only been able to find the game on Steam, so its GOG and Xbox One versions likely were delisted due to that fiasco. And to make sure that I leave no stone unturned, Westerado is sporting charming pixel art and an Old West-inspired soundtrack that are perfect for the multiple playthroughs that this game deserves. Seriously, Westerado is one of my favorite indie games, and one that I believe deserves more love. It's an open-world murder mystery with complete player agency and multiple outcomes and events for players to experience. There's really nothing to hate about the game, and I have no problem recommending it to just about anyone. With all that said, thanks for stopping by and listening to my ramblings about a 10-year-old indie game. And until next time, take it easy.